Here we go again. A really interesting week 40 has passed. Where are we standing in the world markets? Right away, we are looking at the gold chart. You've all seen this. We had this massive dip down in the gold, and we are closing pretty much at the low points that this commodity made this week. The alligator lines, the balance zone lines, were not of any value this week. The past couple of weeks, 4 weeks in the past, we do have the red line being an important support area, but this week we just dipped below. We went right below the blue line, and we are kind of out of this uptrend. If you follow the breakout signals, what you get is you have your breakout area somewhere in this area. You can see it by the fractals, and you have another one right down here. There's a fractal here. Stopped out, you are this week below this fractal. If you follow the fractal trading system that I trade, you're stopped out below that fractal that is at 1300, and I said have your stop between 1280 1290. So if you take the midpoint of that, you're stopped out somewhere around this level, and as you can see, we are closing much lower than that at 1255. Stopping out would or was the right decision. If you're still in, you didn't follow the system. Even though we are at another major price action point here, if you draw that line, you will find tons of fractals in that area. The closing price is right there as well. The daily chart will give you a demand zone at that point. Right there was your previous demand, and we're closing right inside of that zone. The black line indicating the previous fractals on the higher time frame is also an indication that this is some sort of important area. We didn't see a bounce in gold all week long until late Friday, where first NFP hit, then we went lower and came back up. Let's see if this is the point where gold will come up again, and this kind of heavy downwards action will be retraced. It might happen, it might not happen. We are very much down. We will really have to wait out and see where this trend is going. Right now, it still is an uptrend. If you take a look at the monthly, what we have is a price that has come from below to above of the balance zone. It gives us this fractal. This is the breakout that we would take if we were trading the monthly chart. And right now on the monthly, not a whole lot has happened. You get your fractal right there. It needs 2 bars. The highest bar of the fractal needs 2 bars to the right to create the fractal, and then price retraces more here on the third month after the fractal high has been made. We are still above the balance zone. We are hitting the upper border of the balance zone, which is the green line, the shorter term moving average here. And bouncing off of this would be too much to say, but it's only October 7th right now. So let's wait for the other 3 weeks this month and see if this can retrace higher, showing us a bounce off of this balance and then continuing higher. We don't know if that will happen. We might as well retrace all the way back into that, and then this whole uptrend situation would be off the table for quite a while until we see this fractal breaking. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's simply move with the market right now. You can see, as I marked it before, you have right there where price closes an important support area. Nevertheless, we're stopped out of our longs. This did not really get going unless you're in from all the way down here, but those entries here, they were simply a little bit of profit, but not a whole lot. And you waited for such a long time here, all of these weeks, and then you get stopped out. But that's trend following. That's just how it goes. At some point, something will get moving. If we take a look at the Nasdaq, we can see we are still above the balance zone. We are above the breakout signals. We are above everything, even though again we have another week in the past 3 weeks that wasn't really able to move anywhere. If you take a look at lower time frames, you can see a really choppy market. Today was another choppy market again as well. Let's simply wait for this. Even if it comes back down, we have a stop below here. We get out with a little bit of profits, but we should just give this the chance to continue higher. Remember how we do this. We're looking at overall trends, and we get into the trade only in the direction of the overall trend, and that's what we see on the monthly. There is this huge bull market. Yes, we do have this little consolidation in here, but now we are up and out of the previous high of the consolidation, which is right there, and we are higher than that, and the momentum is rising as well. Nobody knows where this could go. So we would just follow the market even if it comes down next week or in a couple of weeks. We wouldn't even care. We just invest in the direction the trend is moving in. In the Nasdaq, we actually see a trend moving. This is different in the Dow Jones. The S&P is also a little bit slow, but maybe they are taking off in a little bit. Maybe they will all collapse, who knows. We do have breakouts in the Asian market, in the Australian market, and the European ones could get a move on as well. We can only follow them. We can only pay attention to our risk per trade. We do not know where the market goes, and even less can we influence what the market is going to do. We do have another breakout signal being hit in the US dollar Canadian. It was mentioned last week that where I said it could come down further, maybe to the blue line, then zoom around, but this week was pretty strong. This is the weekly right here. I marked you the first entry that was above that fractal already, and the second one is hit, or was hit last week. It never went lower. Price never went lower than the past week. Now we are closing above the breakout. This is actually a strong sign of follow through that we have a weekly close above the breakout fractal zone. We could actually be headed, of course, over the long term, all the way to the old high here at 147 almost. We are now at 133, so that's quite a way to go. Let's see if that's going to happen. All we do here again is we get in, we place the order, we hold the trade, and our risk is proportionally minimal so that we never lose too much when we have to get out of these trades. Also becoming interesting is the New Zealand dollar. When we take a look here, I already mentioned this before. You have your supply zone up in here, and now we have price touching this zone, and ever since the past 4 weeks, there was no action to the upside. Instead, we are penetrating the balance zone like we haven't done it in this kind of up move here, even though it's not that much of a move. It's simply what I consider a correction. Your move is going on from the upside to the downside with minor corrections 1 and 2 in here, and now you have your major correction at that point, and it runs back up into the previous demand zone of your minor correction. I am expecting to see a breakout fractal being created somewhere in this area, inside or just below the balance zone, and then this market has all the room to move to the downside. Let's see if that will happen. Remember, we have a monthly chart where we have a downtrend, a correction, turning point, pin bar right on top of the blue line, and now we're waiting for a fractal for this to continue to the downside. There is a lot of demand right in between when you take a look at this area, and of course down here we have 3 significant demand zones. Let's see how price is approaching that and how it's coming through. Still, we are following what we want to follow, and that is the major trend correction. Let's take a look at the British Pound Australian. Of course, this is the burner trade that we got going right now. I've been talking about this. These marks here are the marks from last week. We can see we have 3 entries. There is another entry that you could have taken right at that level, and we have this flash crash that happened last night. Don't really give where that was coming from. I'm in the trend direction. I'm invested towards the trend direction, and whatever happens below that balance zone as soon as the breakouts get hit is not really my business. I'm just waiting. The candles can look whatever they want to look like, and I'm waiting for this to end the trend by closing inside the balance zone, giving me that fractal. The next demand zone down here is marked as well, since it is the all-time low in that chart, and we might hit that turn there. Let's see. We have created by the flash crash a candle this week which is quite huge. We have a long wick. We're not able to close somewhere down here. I'm expecting sideways market movements and then a slow continuation down. There might be some retracements within that. We might hit this level here again, retracing to the previous breakout and then continuing. I do not see the British pound turning around anytime soon. It's the same story in the British pound or US dollar pair. So you just want to follow as long as there is something to follow, and a little bit of a news event, I'm sorry, like we had in the flash crash here last night, is good enough for us to keep following this and to bring enough change into the market that will actually lead to greater profits. It was already visible in the US dollar Canadian. Now we have the US dollar index clearly enough. We have an uptrend, inside correction, new high. We are making a divergence in the AO oscillator here. Let me really quickly add that. It's right there. We do have the divergence in here. What the? We have the divergence in here. Major correction, and now our breakouts occur right in this area, and they are all hit by this week. They have been hit way before, now they are hit again, and I am really expecting this new high here. This will give us yet another divergence when we go from there to the hill that hasn't been created yet, because there is no up move, but there will be a divergence most likely, and then the US dollar is really gonna go down. It will at least come back to these levels here, but it might as well come back into the last supply zone, which we find here at the fractal area. Thanks a lot for watching. Like the video if you like it, follow me on YouTube, and post a comment if you have one. See you soon.